Right, so I'm going to go on to show you how to do the thumb cast on for the front of your collar. So the sweater, as you're knitting, you'll notice my yoke is actually quite small. I'm only doing almost a doll size so that I can show you guys. But what you've got is you've got your shoulders starting to happen here, and you've got the front of your sweater here. So what we're doing, this is the back of the sweater, that's the shoulders, and you can see it's starting to fit like this, and this will be the front. So what we're doing is actually adding stitches and creating the front of the collar for your sweater. So remember to end with doing an extra round 3. You're not starting on the purl side. You're going to be going, once you're done the row 3, so I'm just finished a row 3, boop, 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 I'm just finished at my end of row 3. So if you're doing like 22 repeats, make sure you do one more row 3 after your 22 repeats. Then I'm going to do a thumb cast on of a certain amount. In my case, I'm going to thumb cast on 6 stitches. But make sure you look in the pattern. It tells you how many to cast on. 3. There's a video also on how to do this cast on if you want to look it over. 4, 5, 6. All right, so I've got 6 stitches cast on. Now what I'm going to do is grab a stitch marker that is a different color because this is going to mark the beginning of my round. So it is close to Halloween, so let me just choose a Halloween stitch marker here. So I got a nice jack-o'-lantern stitch marker. So all my other stitch markers for the raglan increases are these just round ones. And I'm going to do something different for the front of my project so I know that this is the beginning and the end of my round. I have to turn it around so you can see the jack-o'-lantern. All right, so I've cast on 6. You cast on whatever number is in the pattern to do. And then, so that's the center of my collar. Now I need to cast on another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so this, when you move this around, I hope this is clear. Got to get my ends out of the way so you can see. Here is my, it's all twisted. Here's my sweater. So you've got the back of the sweater here, the sleeves here, the front of your collar here, and this would be the very front of your collar, and this shows the middle of the front of your collar. So, and that is now going to be the beginning of your round from now on, because now we're going to start switching to, we're going to join in the round and continue to knit in the round. So you will no longer have to do purl rows. Every row will be knit. So one row will be, so we just did a row 3. So the first row we do, you're actually just going to knit all the stitches. And then the next row after that, you'll do your knit front and back increases, but you will no longer be doing knit front and back increases here, just at your stitch markers. But that's described in the pattern. So what you'll be doing now is and I'll show you one round so that you'll get it, maybe 2 rounds. Whoops, I got my yarn all twisted in there. Where is it? Okay. So those are all my cast on stitches. I got everything twisted around. Now the most important thing when you're joining in the round is to make sure that your work is untwisted. You don't want this twisted up and joining in the round. So all of my work, I'm going to make sure it's all facing downwards. All right, it's all facing downwards, including my cast on stitches. So those are all the bumps are downwards. All right, if you have them twisted, you'll end up creating what they call a Mobius. So the whole thing will be twisted forever. So I need to make sure all of my stitches, all of the cast on edge is at the bottom. All the cast on edge is at the bottom before I join in the round. Now I'm gonna bring my yarn to the back, This is a bit fiddly, but you'll get it once you probably have an easier time. Oh, at this point too, when you join the round, you're going to want to either work on a 16 inch, which is mine, but most likely a 24 inch circular needle. If you're doing a really big size, maybe 32 inches, but I'm pretty sure that the 24 inch is the best one. And if your stitch count was less than the gauge, so you had 17 or 16 stitches in the round instead of 18 stitches in the round, you're going to want to go down a needle size. So if you were working on a 5.5, you're going to go to a 5 millimeter in the round. If your stitch count is 19 or 20, then you're going to go up in the round, then you're going to go up a needle size. So if you're working on a 5.5, then you're going to go up to a 6. If you're unclear about it, email me. My email address is going to be in the description of the video. So I'm ready to join in the round. I just finished my cast-ons. They're on my right hand, and my the rest of the yarn, the rest of the project is in the left hand. So all you have to do to join in the round is knit. Now, some people, I wouldn't worry about it too much, and then pull nice and snug there. Some people will create an extra stitch and pass that stitch over top of this one, like this, to really lock it into place. So you'd pass it over and drop it off, right? But that's only if you create an extra stitch. Now I got to do an extra thumb cast on. Whee! If you haven't created an extra stitch, that you'll lose a stitch count in your stitch count. So in this case, until you're more familiar with joining in the round, you just knit the stitch, making sure to pull tight, and now you're joined in the round. Now you're going to continue on. Remember now, you're no longer going to be doing the increases that you were doing at the beginning of your row threes. Now you're just going to be going straight until you get to your stitch marker. And in this case, because we just finished a row 3, you're just going to be knitting even. So this is as if you were doing the purl row on the back, but when you're knitting in the round, when you're knitting stockinette and stitch in the round, which is this nice flat fabric here, you just knit, you don't do purl. So this is essentially a row 2 done in the round. Is that confusing? It's probably confusing to you. So this will be a knit in the round all the way around to your stitch marker, your new beginning of your round, which is for me that jack-o'-lantern or your unique stitch marker. What else have I got to say? Yeah, so you're going to want to be on a 24 inch probably for your collar. If you're doing decreases or increases in the body, by the time we get to the point where we're dividing for the sleeves and going to the body of the sweater, you're going to need to have probably a 32 inch circular needle. If you're doing a smaller sweater, it might work on the 24 inch, but it will eventually get so, if you're doing one of the larger sweaters, so close together that it'll be too bunched up on your needle. I'm working on a 32. I went from a 24 inch. Then once that got to be too crammed, as I was adding stitches for the raglan sleeve, I went to a 32 inch, and I'm now working on a 32 inch for the body of my sweater. This is a 16 inch. It's small, but that's because I'm making a small sweater. So I'm working as fast as I can. I might just fade this to the end. I'll see you when I get to the end. All right, so I'm coming around to where I did the thumb cast on stitches. So there's no knit front and back like at this section here. Now this is where I did the thumb cast on stitches. You're just going to knit those stitches. Make sure that they're facing down and they haven't gotten twisted. I'm just going to knit those stitches. Ooh, they're a little bit loosey-goosey. I'm splitting my yarn a bit. I've got these nice lace tip needles, but they definitely want to split this yarn. All right. Ooh. All right, so those are my thumb cast-ons. Ooh, I split the yarn again. Those are my thumb cast-ons. Now I'm at this is now the beginning of the second round of the, after the join. So this is where I joined. This is now the beginning of my round, so I'm actually starting a new round. And this round is going to be my increase round. So it's going to be one round without any increases, so just straight knits, and then one round with the knit front and back increases at the raglan sleeve. So I'm going to knit around. Okay, so that's where I actually joined in the round. It's a bit loose, but as I go around one more round, it'll tighten up. And we're going to be picking up stitches around the collar, so it's okay if this is a little bit loose. Just pull it snug when you first join in the round. It should do you. So now my next round is going to be increase with a knit front and back at each one of these stitch markers. So you're just doing knit front and back before and after each one of your stitch markers.